What's going on, everybody? My name is Max, and welcome to Chronicles from the Asylum. We're going to try and bring you up-to-date information with all of the wrestlers on all the cards coming up. Don't forget, we've got AWR's Fallout coming. It's going to be June 28th at the Emerson Theater in Indianapolis. I don't know if you've ever seen the Emerson Theater, but it's amazing. There's going to be a full-size ring and tons of great stuff. And on the line with me right now, the Made in the USA man, the #1 contender to Drew Skills Heavyweight Championship belt. We have AKIRA. AKIRA, thanks for joining me.
Hey, what's up, man?
So you and Aiden have drawn a pretty tough assignment. Not only did you have to drive all the way to Parts Unknown a couple weeks ago and do Quarantine and Kill, just to maintain that #1 contendership against two of your friends, a guy you've cornered for and a guy that you've helped train you as a pro wrestler to maintain that #1 contendership. Now you have to go.
Hold on 1 second. I decided to put that up because no one else is defending anything. Drew is not going to go out there and defend his championship in the middle of goddamn nowhere. I wanted to do that for the fans and for everybody else, and I wanted to do it against them. I had like 2 or 3 different opponents set up for that night, but they didn't have the balls to show up. I care so much about this promotion. I care so much about that belt, and I care so much about this opportunity that I decided I'm going to put this up no matter what. And when I brought it up to John and Reed, and they said, John and Aiden, I'm sorry, you get Reed and Aiden confused because they both look the same. They're bald and bearded. They said, fine, let's do it. We went out there, we fought, and I'm bringing more prestige to that #1 contendership than Drew Skills is bringing to that belt in general.
That's a pretty big, heavy accusation to lay against Drew. You know, Drew is a nationally, internationally known wrestler. No slight to you. You've wrestled in Mexico and internationally as well. Is Drew ducking you? What's going on? When are you going to get that title shot? I know he's making you now wrestle a tag match. We all remember what Drew did to John in February. John Murdoch. He agreed to sign a contract to defend his title, but then put a bunch of stipulations in there where there was a specific wording that AKIRA wasn't allowed to interfere in the match. There was specific wording in the contract. And this is after John signed it, I believe, that Drew had this added, that no weapons were allowed to be used. And then he brought weapons out to the ring. He and Justin Kyle brought weapons out to the ring and begged John to use them.
Here's the thing. We live in a modern age of promotions need fighting champions. And not champions that are afraid of any stipulation. This isn't the age of any cowardly bullshit. Yeah, Drew Skills is known across the world. I don't care. We're not in some other country. We're not in some other state. We're at AWR. He has the AWR belt. The AWR belt is the belt of the promotion that brought deathmatch wrestling back to the Midwest, back to Indiana, and is becoming a staple of the Indiana scene, and hopefully the rest of the Midwest scene.
So June 28th, you and Aiden are going to have to take on these two. What's the plan with that? I mean, those are two monsters, and I'm not taking anything away from you guys. You guys are both big guys, but those two are legit beasts.
And just because they're beasts doesn't mean that they don't have weaknesses. Just because they're beasts doesn't mean they're vulnerable. They have joints. They have muscles. You can tear them. You can knock them out. There's things that we can do. There's the thing. Aiden, before he goes out, does drugs. He does a lot of drugs. He comes out there, he doesn't feel anything. Me, I don't even need drugs, and I don't feel a thing that they can bring. So they can headbutt me. They can throw me through stuff. I'm going to get up. I'm not going to stop until Drew Skills is before me, and I hold that belt way up high. And I bring AWR to the next stage, because now is not the time for a cowardly champion. Now, especially in a time where there is no wrestling, there is no blood, there is no violence, we need a champion that will do what needs to be done. That's not just best for business, but best for the championship, best for the promotion, and best for the fans. If Drew Skills doesn't want to get in there and fight with some of the blood fighters, he doesn't want to fight a Schlack, he doesn't want to fight a Marcus Crane when he comes back, then he doesn't deserve that belt. That belt should be fought in any situation, any stipulation, in any opponent. And he's not going to do that. But who would? Me.
So there you hear it, folks. AKIRA, in making no real short mince of words there, he pretty much called Drew Skills a coward. And Drew's going to be on next week, and we're going to be able to hear what Drew and Justin have to say about that. And I don't think that that's going to make those guys real happy to hear that. But I don't think that AKIRA and Aiden really care about that. Now, remember, this show is June 28th. It's over a month from now. And we're going to go a little more real life here for a second, where we're really thinking that the state of Indiana is going to have a lot of the COVID restrictions required. But at this show, presently, it's May 20th right now, masks will be required in the building. So if you guys want to come out, please,
we're not messing with that. We want people to be healthy, because not only do I care about that championship, I do care about the fans. I want you guys to have fun. I want you guys to be safe. I don't want anybody getting sick. I know a bunch of people that are taking care of people that are sick in the hospitals right now. I know a bunch of nurses, and we want you guys to be safe and healthy, but we do want to bring you the violence that you've been craving. I do want to follow up. What pisses me off the most about Drew Skills is, yeah, I guess you could say I am calling him a coward. Let's call a spade a spade. What pisses me off more is he is a coward, but he's a coward that he has the ability to not be a coward. There's some people that are born a coward, they live a coward, and they die a coward. Drew Skills is a big, tough man. Justin Kyle is a big, tough man, but they would rather be a coward. That's even lower. They have the ability to work hard. They have the ability to do the most honorable thing, to live that honorable life, and they don't. They'd rather skate by. They would rather do the dirty, and they would rather do what they need. They'd rather go low to hold that belt than have a little bit of pride at the end of the day and defend that belt honorably. And I'm pretty sure that when the time comes, they're going to turn on each other, because they're that cowardly. They're that low. They're that hungry to stab anybody in the back to get the opportunity to go to the next level. And Drew Skills is at the top. Justin Kyle has a few levels to go, and he is right underneath that man. And I'm just waiting, because if it's not me, someone's going to stab someone in the back. I've seen this before, and it's going to happen.
You just might have to get a fork and do this backstabbing yourself, though, huh? Channel a little Eric Ryan into it and stab him with a fork.
I don't need to stab someone in the back. I'm going to come out with my pitchfork, and I'm going to stab you in the face. Unless you are – oh, God, I'm not even going to bring it up. Unless you're someone with a big ass, then I'm going to stab you in the ass with a pitchfork.
Sounds like there's a little more to that. We'll have to get into that next time we have AKIRA on, because that sounds like a good story.
Hi,
so
dude.
remember, we do have at the show on the 28th, there's the VIP balcony. That's $20 to get in, $10 for general admission, and then the VIP balcony and the front row are $20, and then kids under 5 are half off. We definitely want to see kids out there too. Guys like AKIRA are great with the kids. I always say that a guy like AKIRA is like a guy like Tatanka back in the day. The little kids love him, the ladies love him, the gentlemen kind of love to hate him.
Gentlemen don't hate me; they love me, because I would go out there and I'd get bloody.
Right? Yeah. AKIRA is kind of the total package, but and there will be a lot of stuff for the kids, and towards the end you might just want to move the kids back when the light tubes come out.
Yeah. I
could tell you right now, my 4-year-old my 6-year-old now, when he was 4, was at a deathmatch show that John Wayne Murdoch, Reed Bentley, and Orrin Veidt all were swinging light tubes to try and kill each other with. And at one point there was a picture of Jesus Christ broke over another wrestler's head, and the 3 of them sat down and prayed. It was a pretty epic moment, and I had a lot of questions from a 4-year-old in the car, I wanted to bring that up with you too, AKIRA. Kids love AKIRA.
Yep.
And as a fighting number 1 contender, you're setting a really good example for these kids. I think everybody knows that, especially at this level of wrestling, guys have to have real jobs too. You're a guy that goes out and busts your ass all day at your real job, then you go to the gym and you train wrestling moves with John Wayne Murdoch and Reed Bentley and Aiden Blackheart. You guys are constantly steel sharpening steel. I'm sure you're probably, no one as nuts as the rejects are and Aiden is you probably practice breaking light tubes on each other. And then, you come out and you smile and you shake every kid's hand. And I've seen you. You take pictures with every single kid that's there, and you shake every hand and sign every autograph. And those are amazing things. And the world needs more guys like AKIRA.
It's the world needs more heroes. I'm the bloody death samurai. But like at the end of the day, I know that when kids look at me and I think they see someone that's not the biggest, but someone who's just as tough, someone who is willing to stand against. I will never be swayed. Like I'd like to think I am honorable to the core. I'm someone that the kids can believe in, and I'm not someone that's going to betray that trust. And I want to go out there and I want to make sure that when they see me, they know that I'm there. They can come talk to me. I'm a human just like them. Maybe I'm a little crazier, but I want to be, I want to be that hero, because there's not too many real life heroes that many kids get to come meet, especially at a wrestling show. Like a lot of people want to stay their distance. And I know that.
And we'll have to figure out the social distancing rules for pictures and stuff to where we can make sure the kids can get pictures with you. And Gary and the rest of the guys at AWR that I'm now blessed to be working with and, under contract, and I just signed a big contract with them to bring you guys these podcasts. Thank you. They're brilliant guys. They've got great minds, not just for wrestling, but for business. These are all guys that have made their money in outside businesses and have come into AWR to bring deathmatch wrestling back to Indiana. People forget deathmatch wrestling in the United States. It might have gotten popular in Puerto Rico. It might have gotten popular in New Jersey and Delaware. It started in Indiana.
That's the crux of it all. And I wouldn't even. It's not just deathmatch wrestling. I think AWR is bringing that hardcore, that indie wrestling. I'm talking like mid 2000s Ring of Honor, the late 2000s Pro Wrestling Noah, that hardcore wrestling style where we're beating the piss out of each other. The mid 2000s IWA, perfect example. Sure. It's hardcore. It's not always deathmatch, but people are gonna be bleeding. There's blood, there's spit, there's profanity because it's real. We want to bring that real style. We're not here to.
These are a shoot. A lot of these matches, they might start out as a wrestling match. They turn into a shoot fight real quick.
We're going out there. We're legit. Like when I'm kicking people, when I'm out there with John Wayne Murdoch, him and I are legit kicking the shit out of each other. We are fighting, and we're doing it for the fans, but we want to win. But we also want to bring that style because we're not here to cater to some audience. We're here to. I believe wrestling is for everyone. But wrestling is violent, and I'm not going to cut that down. I'm not going to make that PG. I'm violent. Pro wrestling is a violent sport. I'm going to come out there. I'm going to headbutt you. I'm going to kick the piss out of you. I'm going to choke you out in front of the people because that's what we're here to see. We're here to see people fight. We're here to see people win.
And violence was never meant to be PG. No. Let's talk about WWE in the 80s. It was probably PG-13, and then, but also kind of struggled. The stuff is well known, and I'm not breaking any news here, that if WrestleMania 1 didn't go well, WWE was going under. WrestleMania 3 didn't go well, WWE was probably circling the drain again. WrestleMania 5 had to do good and didn't, and they were struggling. And then they started to get their ass kicked by Eric Bischoff at WCW during the NWO run. Because what did the NWO bring? The NWO brought violence, it brought toughness, and they took shit over.
I would say it wasn't even just the NWO. It was the overall product because you had cruiserweights, you had all these different styles. You had the Japanese wrestlers that were being featured. It was an overall product, and it was focused on the wrestling. But there was the characters that enhanced the wrestling.
And that's what I think Gary and AWR has done so well is. You'll have Cole Radrick on this show who can hang with any Mexican luchador that's out there. You'll have AKIRA on this show who can hang with any Japanese strong style guy you want to put him out there with. You'll have Aiden Blackheart who has won death matches, been in major death match tournaments.
John Wayne Murdoch, same thing, king of the death.
John Wayne Murdoch's king of the death match. Now he's not on the next card, and there's a really big name that I think has been announced.
Nick Gage.
Yes.
Yep, it's been announced. The King is coming to Indianapolis.
It has been announced. And there's no one more over in wrestling. I'll take any guy off the TV on Monday night, Tuesday night, Wednesday night. No one's more over than that guy.
Nick Gage is the king for a reason. I've been on a couple shows with him, and the man emits an aura that people do not seem to comprehend. There's no real word that you can use to describe it. It's just a visceral reaction that electrifies the crowd when they're screaming MDK, MDK. And the fact that he's coming to AWR, I think that speaks to what AWR wants to bring to Indiana. We want to bring not just good pro wrestling. We want to bring legitimate violence. We're not here.
And the best of the best. What good is it? Yeah. To say that, we've got some of the best deathmatch wrestlers in the world, if we're not bringing the guys, if Gary and the guys aren't bringing guys in from other places, if the guys from New Jersey aren't coming out here, if the guys from California, if the guys from the Deep South region of the country aren't coming up here and getting tested by our tough, Hoosier born and Hoosier bred boys, I don't think you can't claim to be a world champ if you're not beating guys from outside of the world. And I don't believe the match has been announced yet, AKIRA, so don't give that away. But I can tell you, we got a tough, corn-fed Indiana boy to throw at Nick, and I think he's gonna have his hands full.
God, I don't even know who he's fighting. I have no idea.
Sometimes it's nice to be friends with the booking committee.
Oh yeah, I like being surprised though. So I mean, but Nick is coming. I'll say this: Nick is coming into, I claim, my territory. AWR. I basically almost died for AWR last year. People don't know this, but that glass that destroyed me last year was like a half an inch away from an artery. Like I would have been bleeding out if things had gotten worse.
And this is a shoot, guys. This is a real shoot thing. In deathmatch wrestling, we use tempered glass. Tempered glass is like windshield glass. It's meant to spider. It's meant to look really cool. It gives the guys some paper cuts and stuff. And with the things they use to help get their blood going, it makes a real pretty mess. That was plate glass. Plate glass has been not even allowed in houses since the 80s. So,
yeah, I mean, I'm not here to jerk my own horn, but like I didn't even notice it until I got to the back. But like it was like half an inch away from an artery on my leg. I've got the scar to show it, and so if people want to like question, I go, here it is. I got to when I went to the ER, the doctor was horrified, one, because he was digging out glass. Like, what the fuck did you do? And I was like,
you can cuss on here.
Oh no, but I'm like, that's essentially what the doctor said. He was like horrified. He was like, what did you do? He basically censored himself. And I was like, I fell through a glass table at home. I was trying to put up a picture, and he was like, really? I'm like, yes. I lied to my teeth, but I basically died last year, and I became a different person because of it. And people were kind of laughing about it, but then they saw that I'm not that cute kid wrestler. I'm not your generic indie wrestler. I am becoming a goddamn force of violence in Indianapolis, in Indiana, in the Midwest. Whether it's ICW Milwaukee, whether it's Deep South, whether it's On Point, I'm becoming the guy. Not one of the guys. I'm becoming the guy. And Nick is coming in to Indianapolis, coming to AWR, coming into my home. I expect him to show up.
So I was going to ask you too. There's another guy on the card. I don't know him. He was on the Quarantine and Kill show with you, Taylor Meyer. What do you know about him?
Taylor Myers. I mean, he has I think less experience than I do, but he is someone who can take an ass kicking. So it's kind of like he's basically the immovable wall. He's just going to he'll take whatever is going to get thrown at him. Now, is he unbeatable? I can't really say that, but I know he's a tough little bastard that can take an ass kicking. Like you saw Charlie Cole smashing that lightsaber over the head with it had tacks on it. Those guitar shots. I was standing right there. That guitar was not going to be a Jeff Jarrett. It was not going to break it, and he just took it. He is tough. I would say that if Taylor Myers and AKIRA does happen, Taylor Myers is going to get the ass kicking of his life.
Now, is he one of the guys that's training in the dungeon with you and the Rejects and Aiden?
Have you seen some of the videos that he's been releasing? I think he has his own little dungeon, and I think it's of the sex variety.
That's interesting. And then do you know who the Vinny Ratlock is?
Yeah, Vinny is, for being such a big guy, he is a smart and conniving dude. I would say that. He's very smart. And I think that's one thing I don't see with a lot of big guys is that he's one of those guys that has strategy to his fights. Him and Justin Cow killed each other at the last show. I was watching that, and that's another thing about Vinny. He's a smart guy. He's a big guy, and he takes it just as much as he gives it.
Awesome.
And he doesn't complain about it either. There's a lot of guys that don't complain about it.
Hey, is Charlie there with you right now?
She is currently cuddling the death dog.
She's also got a match on this card with Becky Idol, and I was just, we've got you and her, and just curious what her take was on Becky Idol and what her plans are for that match.
Oh, Becky's sweet. She's really cute, nice. And she's very new. She's very green.
So you're gonna break her in a little bit, and
oh yeah, I think I'll give her a beat him in lifetime. We wrestled Before, no, nothing like that. Nothing like that. No, so I don't even think it's that kind of show that I signed up for. I signed up for another thing. Anyways, I did wrestle her before, and she's a tough girl. She's a tough gal. Got trained by Del Patricks, right?
Right.
And Del,
I think she would consider herself a Naptown Dragon.
Yeah, well, I think that dragon's gonna get her wings clipped.
Nice. I mean, so what are your plans with the women's division in AWR? It's pretty much wide open right now. What are your plans? Where do you see yourself going? What's the steps to establishing yourself in that pecking order within the ladies division?
The same plans that I have for every division, every show that I step foot in is just create something new, create something different, and for the women's division, I hope to be like the president of the women's division, and every day we can eat cookies and all have fun and be nice with each other. And
I got to tell you, I don't like the way that sounds. I would much prefer a very violent, light tube infested women's division.
I'm going to drop her on her head talking like this.
Yeah, this doesn't sound like the Charlie Cruel I'm used to. It seems like a.
She's been dropped on her head a lot during the quarantine.
Well,
hey, you got to get training in, and
No, we can have fun with light tubes, but I thought we could have fun with some cookies, and all get to know each other and learn about each other, and then beat each other with light tubes.
Edible cookies.
I was gonna say some edible cookies, and then you won't mind the light tubes near as bad, right?
Probably not. Do light tubes hurt?
You got hit with one a week ago.
I was gonna say, I saw a video of you getting hit with a light tube less than 8 days ago.
It felt like snow.
It was the funniest thing I have ever seen.
When light tubes get smashed on people, it looks like snow. I like snow. Do you like snow?
No, I don't. I live in Northwest Indiana, about 5 miles from Lake Michigan. I am over snow in about November, which is just in time to deal with 5 months of it.
There's this really weird thing going on. She's been attacking me randomly, and so she's been getting dropped in her head with a lot of suplexes.
Sure.
So, but now it's she'll be really nice, and then 5 minutes later, she'll be coming at me with a knife.
Snap!
Yeah. She snaps. Yeah.
It's not good. I think when the quarantine's over, some couples counseling might be good.
There's no counseling for this.
Squared circle counseling, maybe.
Circle jerks.
Book it, brother.
Book it. All right, so let's go. I'm just going to run down the rest of the card real quick. I don't believe the main event has been completely announced yet, so we're just going to say Nick Gage is featured in that main event. And I'm not going to mention any stipulations with it either. And then Drew Skills and Justin Kyle versus AKIRA and Aiden Blackheart. We've got the number one tender AKIRA on with us right now. And you've heard what he has to say. We're going to let him get one more thing in here before we take off. We are going to try and keep this podcast under about 40 minutes most of the time. When you get guys like John Wayne Murdoch or Reed on here that like to talk for an hour and a half and tell stories, those will get a little long, I'm sure. But AKIRA's pretty short and to the point, and that's not bad. And AKIRA, please tell Charlie thank you so much for coming on. I know we kind of put her on the spot. And then we've got Becky Ilo versus Charlie Cruel. I think there's, and no offense to AKIRA and Aiden, but I think Becky versus Charlie's got potential to be match of the night. If you guys haven't seen either of these girls work, they've got matches on YouTube. They're both incredibly good wrestlers, very technically sound, and both tell an amazing story in the ring. So I think you'll be excited about that match. And then we've got Rathbone versus the Wanderer AC Riley in a bottle cap death match, which I'm actually drinking a Bud Light Lime right now and have the bottle cap sitting next to me on the table to make sure it goes in the special spot for Gary. And then we've got Vinny Ratlock and Taylor Myers in a water gallons match, which I hope means.
Is that are they gonna have water jug bats?
What I'm hoping is they both have to drink a gallon of water, and the first guy to pee his pants to a wrestling move loses. I feel like that might cause bladder damage and or death, so we probably should steer clear of it, but that would be hilarious.
Water jug bats.
Water jug bats. And those things, I don't care what people say, what smarks say, that, you guys pull up when you're hitting and just make a thud. If you've ever bonked one of your buddies in the head with one of those 5-gallon water jugs, it freaking hurts if you just barely do it. So,
thought of busted over what's his Spider Boudreaux's head. If none of you have ever seen Masada and Spider Boudreaux,
oh my God, when Akira, or when now I'm thinking Akira, when Masada gets pissed at Spider for selling.
Oh, when he busts the water jug over his head and it shatters like a tube.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's one of those things. Like, I've watched that match over and over. Like, I unironically love that match. I just look at it and go, ugh. Like, Reed's hit me hard before with one of those, but I've never been hit with the force where it shatters like that.
Yeah, I mean, Masada's a big guy. Spider's a big guy. So, they're swinging pretty hard. Masada gets, for those of you that haven't seen the match, Masada gets mad at Spider at some point in the match, probably I would say a minute to 2 minutes in over I'm sure some spot calling or something. And at that point decides to pretty much shoot on him, have a shoot death match with him. And there's not a whole lot of those going on in the world. And Spider Boudreaux takes an ass whooping. Spider tries to give some moves back to Masada. Masada no-sells and goes back and beats the shit out of him some more.
Exchange at the very end of the match, and Masada just drops him and then starts kicking him in the head. I watched that and I smiled. I go, man, I love wrestling.
Yeah. Well, the Angel of Death has done. John Rare has talked about that on one of his podcasts or YouTube videos or whatever he does, and he said that Spider legit didn't know what he did wrong at first, and then kind of thought about it and was like, "Yeah, I had that ass kicking coming."
Yeah. Like, if you watch the match, you're like, yeah, I can see a couple things of why he would be mad, but like, seriously, like a water jug match, like those things hurt. Like Reed and I had like you have MMA experience, you know this.
Sure.
We basically did we had when we were fighting at On Point for Survival of the Sickest, we did the Don Fry Takayama punches, but with the water jugs, and you could hear that thing thudding. And guys, it's a giant, stiff plastic jug cracking against your skull. It does not feel good. And we're doing this over. But the best part was the people in the crowd, they were clapping like the Japanese audience would. So it just I was like kind of like laughing. I was like, ow, ow. But in between the ows, I was laughing.
All right. So Akira, I know we're in a spot right now where you can't really train much. You can't really work much to get ready for what's going to be probably, I would say, one of the 2 or 3 biggest matches of your life. Obviously, Quarantine and Kill was a huge match because you put your number 1 contendership on the line. Yep. The number 1, when you do get to, turn in your number 1 contendership for that title match, will be the biggest match of Akira's the young man Akira's young career. But this is going to be up there. This is, WWE does it all the time. The Monday before pay-per-view, the guys always seem to be squared off in a tag match. And will you be able to, through this tag match, like feel Drew out and do some stuff that way? Or are you an old school guy where you don't watch any video? Or are you new school and you're going to sit there and watch every one of his matches on YouTube and look for those weaknesses and holes?
I was watching that with when I was cornering John. I was watching his game. I was seeing what he does, where his weaknesses are, what kind of weak body parts that he has. So this is just another step in that formula. I'm going to go in there. I'm going to analyze. I'm going to see what works, see what doesn't. So when it comes to that championship fight, which I'm going to state this right now, Akira has never won gold. I've done a lot of things in the span of 2 years of being a professional wrestler, but I have never won gold. And the first piece of gold I would like to win is definitely that AWR championship. So this is, people don't realize I have a lot riding on this. I want AWR to succeed, and this is what I have to do. And if Drew wants to keep that belt, he's going to have to kill me. He is going to have to keep me down. I'm going to be unconscious. My eyes rolled in the back of my head.
And Drew's going to have to kill a guy who's quickly become a deathmatch legend. This kid went to Mexico for free and wrestled in deathmatch wrestling matches in Mexico. He's been to Mexico multiple times. He's Southern Sickness. I know there's a lot. He's wrestled Or Invite. I mean, he's wrestled some of the toughest guys in deathmatch wrestling. His match with Tony Deppen was an instant classic and one of the best wrestling matches you'll see anywhere. I would put money on that match. Remember, like 3 or 4 years ago, when 205 Live did their tournament to crown the first 205 champion. Tony and Akira's match would have fallen in there just fine, and you wouldn't have been able to pick that out from the guys on 205 Live. As we're recording this, it's a month and 7 days from now at the Emerson Theater. That's 4630 East 10th Street in Indianapolis. Bell time is doors are at 6. Bell time's at 6:30. It's wrestling, so it'll be 6:45. General admission's only $10. You can bring, if you and your buddies want to come out for $10 to get in, and Nick Gage is going to freaking be there. Nick Gage doesn't wrestle anywhere you can get in for $10. If you want to go to a Game Changer show to get in, it's $35 to stand in the back. Yep. If you want to sit down, it's $65. I've done it 3 times. There's a lot of big stuff there for a $10 ticket. There's not a whole lot on June 28th you're going to really be able to do yet. For $10 that's going to come anywhere close, except for Aiden will probably do some flack up for $10, but
it's at the Emerson, so it's at a really special venue. You've got alcohol, you've got Nick Gage, you've got death matches for $10. Come support the show. I don't want to say that generically. Come support the violence.
Yeah, but come and support the war. Come and support the boys. The one thing that I we're getting a little more shoot here again, but most of these wrestlers guys haven't been able to work. These guys are professional wrestlers. Most of them, while they might have grown-up jobs, a lot of them work part-time or don't work at all, and they're just pro wrestlers. And since the country went on lockdown, a lot of these boys haven't been able to work. So, if you have been fortunate enough to be working, come out and buy a T-shirt. Support Gary for keeping the business around, because I can tell you, when you run a wrestling company and you can't run shows from March to June, it would be much easier to do what Vince McMahon did with the XFL and just close it. Yeah, and start again. But Gary has kept all of us under contract. He didn't terminate anybody's contract. He didn't furlough anybody. So come out, support Gary, and support the boys. And remember that there's going to be some really neat opportunities at this show that you're not going to get anywhere else. And at the Emerson Theater, at that, a historic venue in downtown Indy. Think of the greats that have walked across that stage over the years. But the other thing, we got to drive this home, guys. Unfortunately, you will have to wear a mask in the building unless Indiana changes the law before then, which I don't think they will. It looks like July 1st is going to be when the mask law comes off. So bring masks. If you guys are deathmatch fans like I am, like AKIRA is, you're used to going to a Game Changer show with your goggles and your mask on anyways. It's not going to be that much different. We just got to embrace it. Don't put Gary and the rest of us here with AWR in a bad spot where we have to ask you to leave because you're refusing to wear a mask or refusing to social distance.
Consider it almost like a bit of Japanese culture as well, because at the Japanese deathmatch shows, they wear the masks anyway. Mm-hmm. So it's its own little special thing, because one thing that's cool about AWR is when I come out, the streamers thing, it's something that's really near and dear to my heart, and people do it at AWR for me specifically. So it's kind of, it's really special. But then, it'd be people in the masks. It's almost like being in Japan, kind of. So yeah, wear the mask, be safe, and consider it just kind of like a new experience.
Yeah, and let us take the risk.
Matches. You guys go watch those matches though, in Big Japan. Some of the fans do wear masks.
Yeah.
So
and at Freedom's, the whole front 10 rows are in masks and goggles and. And let us take the risk. I'm a professional broadcaster. And I'm under contract to work for Gary. Gary's got health insurance for us. He's taking care of us on that. Let me take that risk of not having the mask on to do the broadcasting stuff. Let AKIRA and Aiden, Drew, Justin, and Nick, we're all pros. We know what we're doing. We can all be safe. Let us take those risks, and then you guys just be safe for us, because we can't wear masks when we're trying to do our job. So we need everybody else there in masks. So, Governor Eric Holcomb continues to let us run wrestling, because we are also, and I want to make this very clear, we're operating right now at the governor's will. If the governor decides tomorrow that he doesn't want wrestling to happen, he'll stop the show. Mm-hmm. So we need to make sure this happens. I've seen it happen to a racetrack up by us where they literally put concrete barricades on the road so race car drivers couldn't get to the racetrack. If we make the state of Indiana mad, they will shut this down. So let's be cool.
Rules so that we can have the show. Please, if you want your blood and you want your violence, just play by the rules. It's not about being a tough guy. It's just if you want to see that violence, you want to see Nick Gage, you want to see AKIRA, you want to see Aiden Blackheart, and maybe, I guess, if you want to see Drew Skills, wear the mask, just abide by the rules, so we can all come and have a good time. Because we're going to have a good time regardless. I'm going to kick ass for you guys, and if I have to bleed for you guys, I will.
And I'm sure
is going to do the same thing.
Knowing AKIRA, I bet you there's a reject or two that comes along on the ride, and all those guys are down to drink a beer with you and stuff too. But let's just, let's really let's be socially conscious in this. And that's the one thing I love about the deathmatch world is everybody is very socially aware and socially conscious. And I think we will be able to do this smartly. And I think we'll be able to have a really safe show. But let's get back to this real quick. AKIRA, we got about a minute and a half left.
Okay.
Drew and Justin are standing across. They're going to be in your seat next week. And what do you want them to hear? What do you want the last thing you say to them to be?
Your time at the top is numbered. I'm not wasting any time. The mantle needs to be shifted for AWR to grow. Respectfully, I know you guys are good competitors. You're violent. You are tough. But that's not enough. It is not enough. You guys have no spine. You guys have no honor. And in order for AWR to grow, we need someone at the mantle that is willing to die for this promotion. And that is not you.
Aiden and AKIRA willing to go out like samurais. AKIRA is a samurai, so we know he's got no problem leaving it all in the ring. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for listening. This is Chronicles of the Asylum. My name is Max. Be sure to check out the show. It's June 28th. I know we're driving that home. Bring your masks and bring a few bucks. Buy a gimmick, buy a beer. Let's hang out. I can't wait to meet everybody there. Thank you so much for listening.
Buy my t-shirt at ProWrestlingTees.com. Thank you.